Welcome to the Blake's Way, life, business and unapologetic conversations.
I've spent 15 years of my career on that side of the camera, telling people on this side of the camera what to do and what to say.
And after 8 years of telling him what to do and what to say, he finally listened and agreed to share our story publicly.
But Kate, this isn't just another boring business podcast, is it?
No, it's not. It's about marriage, it's about business, it's about failures and wins.
And about me not getting cancelled for my unwoke jokes. Enjoy. I was like, oh, here's this fancy woman from Helsinki. Oh. And then you were like, oh, I have no job, I'm unemployed. Like, wasn't the most reliable career path.
No, but come on, let's cut through the chase. Like, why did you think it wasn't reliable?
Because my mum and dad told me.
Exactly.
Like
David sponsored millions into Victoria Beckham
Yeah,
brand.
but he's not sweating his ass off, is he? 9 to 5 every day.
I hope David doesn't hear those harsh words. You cut to my camera, I was just like phenomenal.
The red light comes on.
Yeah, and then I needed to use like, Kate, zoom in, like keep focusing. And I was like, oh my God, I'm on live TV. Alrighty, InspoHub is an event video production agency. We work globally and what we do is deliver event coverage and live streams for corporate and sports events. So this is what we do, but how did we end up doing what we actually do?
So yes, I wanted to be an actor and
What
I was
happened?
pretty fucking good at it, I think.
Who said that? Your performance arts teacher?
My A-level performing arts coach.
Okay.
Yeah, I got an A. That's pretty good. And yeah, I was convinced that perhaps wasn't the most, what's even the right word for it? Like, wasn't the most reliable career path.
No, but come on, let's cut through the chase. Like, why did you think it wasn't reliable?
Because my mum and dad told me.
Exactly.
Come from a family of engineers, so yeah. I think but let's be honest, it turned out pretty well. So, but I had a really, I can kind of remember it. I had a deep conversation with my dad about it, and he said, "Look, don't give up on it, but why don't you try training for the other side?" Like, because I wanted to do TV acting. He said, "Why don't you look at the other side of the camera? Because if there's one person on camera, there's probably 20 people behind the camera." I was like, "Yeah, fair." And then I always had in my head that I would be back on this side of the camera. I made it. And so I went to university and studied this. Even at university, I remember I was like, every chance there was, we had a studio there. I presented a couple of things because I was like desperate to try it out. Read auto cue and I was like, maybe I should get a show reel together. I remember though, I did tell someone that. I said, oh yeah, I'm here and I do, it was a friend in a different year group. And I told her that I wanted to be a TV presenter. And she said, you came to the best fucking university in the country to be a TV presenter. Like, think of the people that could have taken your place, mate, you fucking idiot. Kerry Lee, I remember it. Good advice. So then I focused on the behind the scenes stuff. And yeah.
But did you know that you wanted to be a director straight away, or?
I never knew what the role was. So, but I think it was like my first week at university. They went through a live broadcast and they said, these are the roles there are. At Christmas time, this was like day 1, October, Christmas, you have to produce a studio show. We got separated into 3 random groups in our class. And they were like, this is all the roles. And we went through, this is what they do. Now go out into your groups and choose who's doing what. And I was like, I could be producer. That sounds like a bit of me. And then someone said, well, you seem like a good leader. You're leading this group. Why don't you be director? So I did. I said, fine, I'll direct. I was like, oh, missed out on producing. And then literally from that point onwards, I knew I wanted to be a director.
But you didn't become a director straight away. So you did all the different roles first. And this is actually what makes you so good at what we are doing, is that you can keep people accountable because you actually been doing some jobs in different departments and you know what to expect from people. Yeah. Which I really appreciate because I didn't get a broadcast education, so I not necessarily always aware of what I can and can't demand from people.
Yeah, I don't know where I got that idea from. I think I did loads of shadowing of directors, knowing I wanted to eventually be a director. I think I just saw that the people who I admired the most knew about a bit of this department, a bit of that department, and that department. I thought, interesting, no one can bullshit you. I thought, right, I should get training or like some like junior work or assistant work in all these different areas and just listen and get terminology and understand what the fuck these people are talking about.
What were like the coolest, I don't know, gigs that you've done? Like as a very early in your career?
Like coolest job when I was a junior was I was doing sailing. That was like my hobby. And so I thought, right, take what I want to do for work and my hobby. And there was a company called Sail TV. I wrote to them and they took me on a week's work experience to Marseille. Flew me out there, paid all my expenses. And I was holding a camera on the back of a boat, holding on for dear life. And I remember so well because I was on the boat with the team that won. And like, they kind of like I was at university, I'd been like 20. They were all quite young. They were from Australia. They come over and they treated me like I had won with them. And like, I remember I got so wasted that night. They were like spraying champagne and like giving us all drinks.
It's a lifestyle career, I would say. I wouldn't call it like a hobby career.
No, a hobby. Yeah, lifestyle's better. Like you now are in this industry. You came into it differently. Like, do you think now it's your lifestyle?
Oh, 100%. Like I fell in love with this. Like the moment I was introduced to this. Like
why? Why did you fall?
No, it's just. I think the TV industry has this magic dust around it. You know, like we were just this morning having a conversation with one of our clients, and they were saying that, oh, we love having calls with you guys because the broadcast is cool. You know, like yeah, you're one of 11 departments that are part of this event, but like come on, it's broadcast. You know, like it's just there's something about this. I don't know what. It's just, you can only describe this as magic, as like a Christmas feeling. It's like, you know, it's the morning of the 25th of December. This is how it feels. And when you see something on TV and then you think, oh, you actually have no idea how it was shot or how it was brought together. But then you see what actually goes behind the scenes and you're like, oh my God, like you have so much respect and appreciation for the work that people do. And I think this is what happened to me when I actually came on set for the first time. I was like, wow. I knew that I wanted to be part of it. But obviously my background is actually not in broadcast. Maybe I should share my story as well, how I ended up in here. I was born and raised in Russia, no surprise to you. And when I was 15, I had to decide which career path I will take. And my mom wanted me to move to Finland and get my education there because it was free education and the closest university was literally like 30 miles away from my hometown, which was in Russia. And there were only a certain number of courses that were done in English. So I ended up in marketing simply because this was the way for me to stay in Finland. And I worked in a marketing agency for a few years and then I decided that I want to move to Helsinki and have a big city life. And there big city life. I mean, Ben, in Finland, Helsinki is the biggest city. A bit of an educational podcast.
How many?
Yeah. I'm not sure.
5 million, I'm sure.
Max, yeah, probably.
No,
I think it's like
Middle
5 million in the whole country, mate. Like, yeah, it's a tiny country. So I joined that company. I worked there as a marketeer. And then they had an operations person who left the job and the team internally were promoting me into this like leadership role. And they said to our co-founders saying, we think Kate can actually manage the team and why don't we give her an opportunity? And I was like, wow, like I was supporting the operations person a little bit with like reporting bits. And I was like, an amazing challenge. So I sort of left the marketing and stepped into more of like business operations side. And I realized that this is what I actually love doing. Marketing was something that I was trained at and I was good at, but operations and the business running was like what was really, really exciting for me. And this is where I had an idea, also working for a startup, that I want to run my own thing. I think one day I want to become an entrepreneur, 100%.
Are you legally allowed to say why you no longer work at that company because you don't obviously work there anymore. You moved on to start InspoHub.
Yeah, so one day I came to the office and I was illegally dismissed. So I was told that I'm not needed in the company anymore. But it's not how things actually run in the employment law. And the grounds that I was dismissed on didn't have actually any legal grounds behind them. But my employer didn't see that through. They didn't offer me any settlement package. So I said, okay, I'll see you at court then. And this is what I did. And that bloody court took me 18 long months. Painful 18 months they dragged on to get a legal paper saying that I actually was in the right and he was in the wrong.
Not to make it all about me, but we started dating like a week or a month before you lost your job there?
2 months before I was given my notice, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, here's this fancy woman from Helsinki. Oh. And then you were like, oh, I have no job, I'm unemployed. Any money? You want to come see me? Because I can't have a plane ticket to come see you, mate. I didn't even think about that at the time. I just assumed that you were a smart person and would crack on with it. And you were so convinced. I remember you telling me you were distraught. You'd been like fired from your job. You were from day one. You're like, I'm getting paid. Like I'm not leaving. Or I can't remember if you said I'm not leaving, or you were like, this is like totally not right. This guy is gonna get fucked, and you did fuck him. Bam. But how did you know? Like, fuck me, that was a scary situation. And you didn't really have anything to fall back on. Like, you had your apartment but you were renting. You didn't have lifelong savings. It's not like you had a trust fund and mummy, I need some more money.
Yeah, I had nothing. But because I transitioned from marketing to this operations role, just for the sake of my job, because I had to do certain HR tasks within the company, I studied the law, like the Finnish law on employment. So, and I was very educated in the moment when I was given a notice how it was supposed to be done. Like you either have personal, sort of personal reasons behind it. For example, you've only given 3 warnings because you were not performing correctly, or the company had to have some financial issues. So that's why they had to cut the job and then no one could be hired in that position. So I had the basics in my head, but I also had 2 wonderful mentors, which were actually my ex-employer prior to that company, and the clients of the company, the wonderful lady from ski.fi that we've done loads of media tours together. I reached out to those like experienced people and I said, this is the case, how should I behave? And they said, you're in the right, they're in the wrong, we'll tell you what to do, we'll find a lawyer for you, but from now onwards, be mindful what kind of communications you have with the employer and have everything on the books, etc. So it was a minefield. You know, I was only 24 at that point. You know, I didn't know that your life never prepares you for actions like this, you know, and I was just this immigrant 24-year-old young woman managing this whole brutal experience in a foreign language. Bear in mind, it was all done in Finnish, whilst also figuring out how this will affect my career, because my biggest worry was like, no one will ever employ me. Like, you know.
But you didn't want to be employed.
No, but this is the thing, you know, like I didn't know what I wanted at that point. I knew that I had 3 options. Either I'll go to an established firm, start at a lower rank, and hopefully there will be no HR issues in this company because there will be actually someone experienced and educated running the show, you know, or I go to another startup, which will be probably, you know, like will have a rough environment, but they might see my potential and I will be able to continue climbing that career ladder. You know, a 24 HR and operations manager, you know, that's a pretty good gig for that age. Or option C was, I know I want to start a business one day. And then when I spoke with one of my mentors, he said, you're only 24, you don't have any commitments, you don't have family, you don't have children, you don't have obligations, just try it. I was like, but what is a business going to be about? You know, like I don't have any like smart, cool idea, like, you know, a SaaS product or anything engineering or whatever that was fashionable in 2017. He said, what do you know really well? I was like, marketing. He said, do that. Do a marketing agency. I was like, all right. And that was like as simple as that, you know? I was like, how difficult it will be to run a marketing agency. I worked in a marketing agency for 3 years. I've supported the operations side of bits for like this fintech company. I'll nail this, you know? And little I knew how fucking hard it is to get clients, how to do sales, how to get the cash in. I was a bit delusional. And maybe sometimes when you don't have enough knowledge, it's a good thing because you just step into the darkness and just hope for the best and you don't overthink. But it was tough, and you were right. Like, I didn't have any trust fund. I didn't have any money. Like, I had some savings, which lasted me for like 3 months, but I kept getting the bills from the lawyer because the court case was dragged on forever. And luckily, at some point, he said, like, don't worry, I'm just gonna put you on the books. I'm not gonna be sending those invoices to you. Like, we will bill you at the end of this madness. But it was really scary. Luckily, at the same time, like I got dismissed, and a week later, I got the resolution about my citizenship. So I got my Finnish passport, and that calmed me down big times because I was like, I don't need an employer to be able to stay in the country. I have this document that enables me to do whatever the hell I want in this country because I'm a citizen now. That goes deep. Only immigrants will understand that feeling of holding an European passport in your hand.
Kate, have you seen the program Suits TV show?
No.
Yeah.
I know of it.
You know of
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it like that in the courtroom, or like is that so? That's just so American. Is it just like sitting in a room like this more?
No. It was like a proper courtroom.
A man or a lady with like a wig and like a hammer and banging.
No, I think this is more like a UK thing with a hammer and a wig. But the room was like an auditorium, and then the judge was sitting in there. There was someone taking notes, and then my ex-employer was on one side, and I was on the other side, and he had his lawyer and his witness, and I had my lawyer and myself, and at some point a translator came in for the statement. But it was absolutely nerve-wracking. Like, I remember I had to fly back to Finland for the first part. My lawyer was there so that he could just be present.
Because you were living in the UK.
Because
right?
I already moved to the UK at that point, yeah. But for the main hearing, I had to be in Finland. And I remember it was just 2 days before your birthday. They were celebrating in Venice. And I had to fly to Finland for that court case. And I remember like every single minute of that day, probably to the second, just how terrified I was and how tough it was.
Was it?
I think
was it the
it's
fear
hard
of the
to
unknown,
revisit.
Though, that made it scary? Because when you got there and things started happening, was it more like, okay, this is?
But what I didn't know is there will be some details that suddenly appear that I was not aware of, you know, like, or some scrutiny, or what if someone...
Some email...
Something happened that I missed somehow, and then they will have this card in their sleeve, and then they'll use it, and I'm like, my whole case...
What about this popover?
Yeah, exactly. And then they did try that once, and then luckily I was fluent in Finnish, so I could hear what was said by the witness. And I spoke like, you do this like in the movie, you talk to your lawyer and you're like...
What did you say?
Yeah, I was like, this is fucking total bullshit. Like, you know, how could I not do this particular task because if I didn't have access to this particular tool, you know, like just to be a bit vague about it. And then my lawyer said, oh, we have a question. And then the witness said, of course, it wasn't possible. And then the lawyer was like, then why are you bringing this as one of her faults, you know? But I was just so proud of myself that I caught that. Like, I was listening into every word they were saying. And the court case lasted like for 5 hours or something with a break in between.
What of just like lawyers talking, you talking, then other
Exactly.
side
Yeah,
talking.
yeah, exactly. Just like you see in the movies, really. And then the judge said, okay, in 2 weeks' time, we're gonna make a decision, and you're just like this for 2 weeks, realizing like, okay, what's gonna happen next?
Did you see this guy when you leave? Is it like you're in the hallway? I know that's like, I love that show, Suits. You go off and like they like pass in the hallway and like say something to each other. Like, was there that
No,
moment?
but this is the thing. Like, I think me and my ex-boss on a personal level, we always got along. So actually, before the court case, we saw each other in the hall. He approached me with a smile and a hug. We hugged, and he said, "Oh, congratulations! I heard that you're getting engaged. Congratulations on starting your business." And I was like, "What's going on in here?" There was a part of me that was excited to see him, like on like a personal level, because we were working closely together, and I admired him as a visionary, as a human being, But as a leader, I had loads of questions to him.
But do you think that's then, like, in your head, maybe it was, you were like, what the fuck is this happening? But like, could you separate, like, this is personal and business? Or for you, it was all one because it wasn't your business? But, or maybe like now, look at it. If you were in a legal situation now with work, could you be like, oh, this is someone I know personally, and then this is business?
No, I think in the moment, like when we saw each other in the hallway, like it actually helped me, like having that hug with him, it just kind of brought like the separation between, yes, there is how we see each other on a human level and, maybe respect or like each other on a human level. But there is certain, like we also have a relationship as an employer and employee. And this is where we had an issue, But yeah, the answer to your question, we had a hug before the court case.
That's fucking weird to me.
Yeah, I know. When thinking back, I think it's also weird. But yeah, so they said 2 weeks and I'll get the answer. And then in 2 weeks, I got an email saying the judge is sick, so it's going to get postponed. And bear in mind, the judge was sick before. That's why like the court case was postponed. Like the hearing kept being postponed for like months to months. That's why it's dragged for 18 months in total. And then I remember as it was yesterday, 17th of May 2019, my lawyer sent me a WhatsApp message saying, "We won. This is what we get."
Is that literally wrote, "We won"?
Yeah, we won. This is what's the case, but let's see if they will appeal. And I think the weight I had on my shoulders finally was released. And it wasn't necessarily that I was worried about the outcome. I think I was mainly worried about the 13,500 euros bill that was about to pay of my legal fees, and thinking, where the hell will I find that money to pay my lawyer? But when you win the case, the other party covers the legal costs.
This derailed massively. We were talking about how InspoHub started. This was a massive part, right, of your journey to InspoHub. But like, when was it like? When you had to leave that office, you had those three things, and you just were like, right, marketing company, here we go. I know you came up with the name on a plane, but hey, what point was that? Was that straight after, as soon as you walked out that office door for the last day, did you know, right, time to start a business?
I still had to serve my notice period, which was 1 month. And I knew that my last work day in the company would be like 10th of November. And I knew for myself that this is the 30 days period I have to make this decision, A, B, or C. And whilst I was still working full time and still very much committed to the business.
What was it like, just quickly, working for a company that you knew you were taking to court?
No, it was like walking the fucking minefield, because you're still seeing the person that you are taking to court, having day-to-day engagements, still doing your job. In the meantime, onboarding the person who's replacing you and teaching that person, who was actually also their witness in the court against me. It was full on. It was full on. And I did receive lots of messages afterwards from my colleagues saying, how did you manage it emotionally? Because you were just so like still committed to the business, very professional, doing your job really well, despite everything that was going on.
But how did you manage it emotionally?
Honestly, I have no fucking idea.
Just pretended.
I think just being who I am and having, coming from the background that I come, just being quite a strong person.
But were you pissed off? Like, what did you feel? Did you show it, or like?
No,
I've never seen you hide any emotion ever.
I had to hide. I had to park my emotions. I had to be really like cold-hearted, just doing my job and just surviving those 30 days. Like, the company had a policy working from home. I was coming to the office every day. Like, I was just holding my head up and just going with this, really. But anyway, so during the daytime, 9 till 5, I was still doing that job. And then in the evenings and during the nights, loads of sleepless nights, I was thinking what I'm going to do next. And the decision was made that I will start the business. And pretty much as soon as I...
starting the business, doing what though?
Marketing, like doing having a content marketing agency and figuring out what's going to be the client base, etc. After I close that chapter, finish my job, and on the 10th of November, I'll start rolling with whatever I needed to do with my business. And funny enough, like, I had that holiday with you planned, so that was my first trip to the UK. Pretty much like a couple of days after my last day at work, I flew to the UK, I saw you, and this is where we had those serious conversations about the future. And we made a decision that, okay, I will need to move here one day, and that you were planning to move from Sweden to the UK. And I was like, then having a business makes total sense. So it needs to be like an international agency that can have clients in the UK. If I need to move to the UK, it will be able to operate in the UK. So I started like thinking about all those like logistical, operational bits and pieces. But if that situation didn't happen with my previous job, InspoHub wouldn't be here.
You think you never would have started it without that trigger?
I love my job, I genuinely love the company. I love what I was doing. So I have no idea. I could have just continued climbing that career ladder. The person that I onboarded has now taken the role of a CEO of that company.
So yeah, maybe you could have been running the show.
Who knows? But I am here now. And like you said, by the way, the name, I came up with the name on the plane, flying back from visiting you in the UK, back to Finland. I was like looking for different ideas, and I thought that it should be like content. What kind of content? Oh, we want to inspire people through content, or we need to, inspirational word needs to be in there. And then in 2017, there were loads of companies called something Hub, way before Pornhub,
that was not before Pornhub, trust me.
No, but it was like, Hub was like something that was used a lot in like in the Finland ecosystem of startups. And I was like, okay, InspoHub. It's a hub of inspirational content, and we will create content that matters. Boom. And IH would be the short version of it. And this is what was trendy with branding, like just having 1 or 2 letters in your logo. So it just all worked out. I was like, oh yeah, cool. Having fuck all money, 0 clients, but I nailed the branding and I nailed the name.
Then fast forward, and you just thought, oh, Ben, I'm kind of jealous of all this like traveling you're doing, and video stuff looks pretty cool. And you just one day, the same way as you just decided, you know what, I'm starting a business. One day you're like, you know what, now we're doing video production. It felt that simple.
I remember the day. Like, I was on the bus going from Fulham to Battersea. This is where we lived at that point, and I just got flu. I just felt really, really, really rough.
COVID?
No, that was before COVID. And I had a call with you, and you said, hello darling, I'm here on this private beach in Dubai. We just finished that powerboat racing live stream, so I'm just chilling here for a couple of days. Here they even sell you a beer, so I'm just having like the best time ever, and I was just like, fucking hell, and I'm going, like, it was just raining and cold and just absolutely miserable weather in the UK. And I was like, what the hell? You know, like, why is this guy having his best life, like literally loving every minute of his job? And I'm here on that bus going home.
Bus wanker.
Yeah, bus wanker. And then there's nothing like exciting in my everyday job. You know, I was like, there must be something better than that. You know, at that point I was already pleased that I had multiple clients and the agency was growing, and then I had a couple of people on the team, but still, like, I saw a massive gap between you and me and how happy we were with our careers. So it's just somewhere on the back of my mind, I was like, I want to be more like him and less like me. So after having this wonderful bus journey and getting absolutely jealous of what you were doing, I remember telling you, like, Ben, I want to learn more about your industry. Like, how about I run my business 9 till 5, and then whenever possible, can you please take me on those productions as an assistant, runner, whoever. Like, I just want to see, like, what your industry, how does it work? Because I have this, like, feeling in me that I want to be part of it, but can you please? And you said, yeah, no worries. And I think the first thing that I experienced is you said, so there's a Black Eyed Peas concert at Apollo. So I'm going there for like a recce because it was a two-day event for Black Eyed Peas. And you said, like, oh, so I need to go and check like cameras and angles and everything. So this production company is going there, and you can come with me. I'll speak with them. And I was given like a production sticker on my backstage pass, yeah. And I was like, I love Black Eyed Peas. So I was like, don't stop the party.
You were like, you wasn't like that. You were like,
I was like, and then I could go to any area, and it was just fascinating. I was like, wow. I remember that you saying like, oh, you know, sorry, we will need to change your plans for Saturday, but I have this gig to do. I was like, oh, what's the gig? He said, Black Eyed Peas. I was like, fuck off. I was serious. This is your life. And so that was the first sort of like, you know, behind the scenes that I got to experience. And then the same company was kind enough to invite me to the esports event that was in Wembley. And this is actually where it wasn't like just the recce, it was the actual live stream that was going on. You were based in
Leicester.
You were in Leicester. So I came to this this venue, and they gave me a talk bag. And I remember this moment, like they put this talk bag on me, and they said how to use this talk bag. And then I heard your voice. And then you were there, like, 'cause, like we were doing rehearsals and then just about to start a live show. And I was like, who the fuck is this guy? This is not my husband. No, we were, at that point, we were not married yet. No. So we were not even engaged yet. I was like, at home, I asked him, do you want to have a cup of tea or coffee? It fucking takes you forever to make this decision. And there it was like confidence, like really, like lots of clarity on your briefing, you know, like calling shots. I was like, wow, I just felt like I fell in love with you, you know, like again, just seeing you in this environment. I was like, oh my God, he's even better than I thought he was at his job. And it was also quite funny how, like, you know, hearing you also keeping the morale of the team, you know, you were like cracking jokes and then trying to bring up the best in people. And then I could hear at some point, like, you were asking the camera operator who was not, you know, you didn't cut to his camera at that particular moment, and you were showing like, oh, show my girlfriend, you know, and then like you took a snapshot of the multi-viewer with me, like with like behind this box lens camera, like having the best time of my life. I still have this picture, you should throw this in. Just like loving life, because I was like shadow the camera operator, and then eventually I became a camera operator, and I was operating that camera and following the coach, going behind the gamers, and you cut to my camera. It was just like phenomenal.
And the red light comes on.
Yeah, and then I needed to use like, okay, zoom in, like keep focusing, and I was like, oh my God, I'm on live TV. Like, you see, like this is the moment where I was like, oh my God, I have to figure out the way how to be part of it. And
it shows its magic of TV. You said magic earlier. When you remember the first camera shot that you ever did.
Yeah, I mean, like, oh my God, you know, I knew, like, this is the moment where I realized, like, I'm in love, you know, not only with you, but also with the broadcast industry. And then you kept bringing me to all those different gigs in different capacity. Like I came as an AD somewhere, like I think it was something for table tennis, and then like it was shadowing cameras and just doing a bit of floor managing. So I was running a growing, successful marketing agency 9 till 5, and then I had all those like side gigs during the weekends with you, with other companies, just learning about the industry, not being paid, just trying to learn. Fuck. It's quite nice to...
Imagine now me saying to you, Kate, do you fancy the weekend going up to Nottingham to go and watch some table tennis? You'd be like, get fucked.
But yeah, and me also being a runner, bringing coffees to people, and now me calling shots, managing a team of 35.
Coffee now. That's you
to
these
me,
days.
yeah. Now I'm the big dog on the production, but you need to build your way up, And I think I didn't get the education like you did, I learned on a job, but I'm really pleased.
You fast-tracked your way from runner, one camera operating job, big dog boss, basically your career path.
So I fell in love with this industry. I wanted to monetize it. I wanted us to work together.
Monetize it or me?
Monetize you. Monetize you, yes. And in 2020, obviously COVID happened.
Brushing past me saying, you my pimp.
Sorry.
You my pimp.
Yeah, I am your pimp, actually. I feel like I'm this is what I've been doing for the last 5 years. But in 2020, like my business was thriving and all your freelance gigs disappeared.
Oh, COVID, yeah.
COVID happened. And
no sport, no travel, no money for Ben.
Exactly. And this is when I was feeling really tired and exhausted with my business, and I said, Ben, can you please jump in and help me out? And I remember that you were doing like bookkeeping and some copywriting for the company.
I remember, the one thing I remember about the copywriting was about how to keep your nails healthy, and I still follow that procedure.
Oh,
I moisturize my fingernails and my cuticles. Is it cuticles that was at the bottom? Honestly, that's the one thing I remember.
From directing sports TV into writing content
about how to fucking keep your fingernails moist. That was a low point in my life. But I did quite enjoy it, weirdly.
And then we rented out...
If only ChatGPT was around.
Yeah, that would have made your life a lot easier. But at that point, the business was grown really really rapidly, and then I remember we hired 2 new people, and then we were like, all right, we can't just be in this co-working space and use hot desking, and we got an office at Plus X in Brighton. So we got that office, and then we started working together on an everyday basis, actually, from the same office.
I can remember working together is an overstatement. I was thinking about this the other day. I used to take Georgie out, the dog, for a midday walk. That's how
busy you were.
That's how little I had to do. Like now, a morning walk, an evening walk, I'm like, how's there time for this? I had a midday walk, and it would sometimes be 2 hours. And I was cruising.
You were so cruising, mate. Like you were having you were such a big dog saying to people like, oh, I'm a business owner now, so I'm a co-founder. I remember when you did your business cards and it said like a co-founder and a head of content. And then I go into those business meetings and then I was watching you like what the heck, I just felt like your sugar mama who created this job for you that actually didn't exist and wasn't needed.
Yeah.
I didn't have any clear expectations of what I wanted you to do. I just knew that I needed help, but I didn't quite know what help that would be. We still had all the commitments to marketing clients, so not like we had loads of video projects coming in, etc. And not like you had any other expertise to offer to the business.
I did the things that I knew least about. I did bookkeeping, VAT, I paid people's salaries. There's probably some other kind of paperworky stuff. Anything with HMRC was me. Anything document-wise was me.
Yeah, I just treated you like an assistant of some sort.
I was like an executive assistant to you.
And but I remember I was getting really, really frustrated because I started getting more pressure on myself with this, like with an office and all the outgoings we had as a business, plus new employees that joined, and you were just having the best time of your life. But that didn't last long, and I think there was like a series of events that made us change the business completely. You remember we had a couple of big retainers for marketing work, and they shut down.
Yeah, like overnight.
Overnight, pretty much, yeah, with like a 1 to 2 months notice.
And you look, I remember that closed down, those stopped, and you looked to me and you said, well, now it's your turn.
To do something about this, because
Yeah.
I had like another one of my like mental breakdowns and burnouts, and I was like, okay, we have this office, we have this people, and as someone who's always wanted to create an agency that's people first agency, I was like, I can't just screw people over like this. You know, I committed to them, like I committed to their families, like they expect the salary every month so they can pay their rent and, you know, live their life. And what are we gonna do now? I was in such a panic mode and I didn't know how to get out of it. And I remember you and I had this like whiteboard and we put all the skill sets of our in-house employees, and we were thinking, okay, how can we do any transition, and actually what do we want to do? Because we did all sorts of different like content marketing stuff. And then we realized that there is like a red thread.
On the whiteboard, no offense, because everyone went on to do amazing things with us. You had a copywriter, another copywriter, an intern, and I think someone, I can't remember.
No, those are marketing strategists. We have the social media strategist person.
And you said, Ben, how can you turn them into a video production company? I was like, you fucking kidding me? I left working, traveling the world, doing amazing things to sit and look at a fucking whiteboard of random job titles and work out how to make a video production company.
But I still to this day don't know how we managed to navigate this transition, because out of the blue you got a phone call from your mate who said that this massive investment company needs a producer who would come in and help them do the transition from virtual to hybrid events, right?
There was a bunch of calls like that that just randomly came in. Like if it wasn't for, I think it was 3 different projects with just a phone call or a WhatsApp message I got, someone saying, can you help with this? And you said to me, no, Ben, you can't. InspoHub can. And that was it. And I was so, we had fuck all money. And I was like, this is fucking risky. And I was like...
and the team of like copywriters.
Yeah, can I bring my copywriter and strategic marketeer on this high-end corporate gig? Disguised it as something else. And yeah, that was it. Literally, that was it.
I know it sounds
3
like...
jobs.
What is it, gigolo you call them?
Yeah.
Like you converted from a gigolo who's just having like multiple dog walks throughout your workday and sipping your coffees and flashing your co-founder card at people at networking events, suddenly came into like this mode, like a ruthless motherfucker who's like, all right, I'll be training people, I'll be like, you know, having this client relationships, and then you will go into London like 3-4 times a week to deliver this project that we had with this investment company, and like waking up at like 4 a.m, going to London and then coming back at 8, and also helping me like build all the background work to transition the business from marketing to video production. Like honestly,
I just remembered when you were talking through that, there was one of those roles that we transitioned. Took someone from an intern who was into gaming a little bit, and
very technical person.
Very technical. I don't think he will mind me doing that. Very technical. But he had done a bit of computer gaming. He told us he had built his own PC for computer gaming. Whether that was bullshit or not, I don't know. We made him build an edit machine. We're like, oh, he's the technical guy. I gave him a manual for a vision mixer and said, we need you to do this to save the business. Can you learn this? Next week we're going off to a job. And he fucking did it. That's when you say passion, that's passion for it.
We're absolutely nuts. Like we are nuts. But what do you think? Like how, like just yesterday we had this NCT class. And there was a couple who both work in video gaming, and one is a producer and another one is an art director. And then I overheard people asking them, "Oh, so do you work for the same studio?" And they were both like, "No fucking way! Like, if we were to work together, it would have been horrendous. Like, we would have murdered each other." And I was like sitting there thinking, "Oh, and we are completely on the other on the other spectrum of this." Like, what do you think helped us?
Me being easygoing, and you. If we were both like you, no, we wouldn't have.
We would have clashed a lot.
Yeah.
But do you have any piece of advice that you could give to couples who are thinking about starting a business together? Like, what they can learn from our experience so they don't make the same mistakes as we did in the past?
Something to fall back on is sensible. If I'm giving someone advice, I'd say have not like a whole backup plan, like, oh, this might go well, but this probably over here will go better. I mean, like, have some savings in the bank that you can go, you know what, if things get bad, we'll use up those savings, and when we get down to our last few £100, we're calling this a day, and we've got to go and get real jobs. I think because the stress, I'm sure, took years off my life. Fuck me, we
don't revisit those days often, do we? Because now, even talking about this, I can feel how this anxiety is rising in my...
But I do use that anxiety. I feel it too.
As a drive?
Yeah, but then should you be running away from something or running towards something as your inspiration? For me, I think I've already said last week that I've kind of forgotten what my inspiration for doing things is for projects, because it's not money and I have to like find a new driver. But I think that's because I'm no longer running away from the business being bankrupt. I'm not chasing a money goal, right? So I think because that's how the business started, on running away from being absolutely fucked. I think it's a dangerous thing, and it lasts with you in your mind for too long.
Because I've seen couples having like a joint venture where one of them is still having their full-time job. Another one sort of runs this new business day to day, but like this full-time job of their partner is still like financing and supporting family. So you do have a backup plan.
Yeah, you see, when you say family, then if where we are now, baby, marriage, dog, house with mortgage, all that stuff is suddenly you've got real commitments. It's harder to take risk. I think do it early, do it quick. Don't wait for it. Don't wait for life to catch up and then have more responsibility. It might go good, it might go bad. It probably will go good, because you want it to be.
But do have a savings account to make sure that you can pay your mortgages and you can feed your family.
But I don't like the idea of what you said, someone working full-time and helping out another person doing the business full-time. Then you feel like, oh, I feel like if I was the one doing the full-time job, knowing now, and I know I can picture people who have said those stories, I feel like I'm sponsoring you to go off and do your hobby. And I'd be like, fuck, I'm working like a dog.
David sponsored millions into Victoria Beckham
Yeah, but
brand.
he's not sweating his ass off, is he, 9 to 5 every day?
I hope David doesn't hear those harsh words.
I hope he does.
But this is the thing, like, I think it's important to touch base on the responsibilities within the business.
Yeah, don't be the same person.
You can't bring you need to bring complementing skill sets to the business rather than the same skill sets. Because like you said, if we were both like business leaders, then we would clash a lot, and then there will be like a power struggle going on. There's certain type of like areas where you have this ownership, and creatively, I'm not allowed to judge you, or I can give my opinion, but you can also tell me exactly, like you can keep your opinion to yourself. And the same when I feel strongly about something business-wise, yeah, this is the decision that we need to make. You just have to blindly trust me. And I think this is when we finally reach that point of like clear responsibilities within the business. We stopped clashing as much, and I think we stopped having that many arguments together.
I still don't feel like I've ever truly sold anything, but I know I have. But I think that's what
But this
I
is-
found a way to sell. It doesn't feel like sales. To me, sales is like cold emailing, cold calling, going to a networking event and being a slut. I've never succeeded. I've tried all those things, but I've never succeeded. But I have managed to sell us a shitload of work.
But this is what I think early on, like I try to reframe this in your brain. I knew that you had loads of like sort of conflicting thoughts about what sales is. And I try to tell you that it's not selling something to people who don't need this. You actually come to people with people who have problems, and you offer them solutions. So you bring them value. You are rescuing them from the situation they're in. I think what you and I recently discovered, the reason why people choose InspoHub over someone else is what kind of people you and I are.
So you're not selling them a product, you're selling them a personality. Selling a relationship. I'm pretty good at flirting.
You're ruining what I'm trying to say, mate.
Tinder was my strongest.
No, what I'm trying to say is that, yeah, we might be lacking a particular industry experience, you know, like within this, I don't know, like call it automotive or tech or whatever financial industry might be. But we always make up with the passion and the drive to make things work and to study. And we give our 150% on every job. And we always, like, we're super reliable people, and our clients know that we're not going to literally kill anyone for the job, but like we will do everything humanly possible to deliver the best product for our clients, because we're carrying that responsibility in us, because we're business owners as well as the people who deliver the service.
But how do you package that up and sell that on a like initial kickoff call with someone?
But this is what we've been doing, you know, like we've been doing with those proposals, like when we stopped actually sending our proposals via email and saying that we would present those proposals. I think it's just the feeling like when people hear you out, like you can see someone if they're passionate or interested about your project or not, or it's just going to be another
on a video
gig for
call,
them.
You can see if they're snoozing or if they're like eyes wide open.
And this is the same how we choose creatives that join our projects, right? Like we sometimes will compromise maybe the expertise and the experience and the wealth of that experience for passion, you know, and giving people, like we're still very much a people first agency. And I think that the clients that we have success with are also like people first companies.
Those roles are pretty well defined, I think, between us, mostly. Sometimes we argue. But by bringing a new team member in, one that can't talk, walk, or even feed himself, like, that is how I think he's gonna change the roles and where the responsibility lies. It's like, you're responsible for the operations side, I'm responsible for the creative side, and we're all responsible for the baby.
I think that there's not much time left before our child is here. Like I'm definitely getting more, like shit is getting real, you know, like yesterday the pram arrived. And
I was loving that.
You were loving this, and I was absolutely freaking out.
You left the room at one point.
Yeah, I was like, I can't look at it. I think it was just so many changes are happening in our life right now, and we also we thought, like running the business and growing the business is not difficult enough. Like we decided that we need to get a bigger house, and get a big house we need to sell our flat and all the challenges that come with that. And then we decided that let's throw the baby in the mix, and I do wonder how it's gonna go, you know. And I think it's getting more and more real. And
would you reckon next episode talk about how we naively think we can weave a baby into this thing that we've magically created?
Yeah, and then I think what will be even funny is like once we are a couple of months into actually having a baby now,
how wrong we were,
watching that episode saying, oh my God, you two absolutely had no in Scooby-Doo what you were stepping into.
Yeah. Well, that was the long version of how Kate and I started InspoHub. Definitely not one I tell at dinner parties because the guests usually leave, but one of us sticking around. Next time, we are going to talk about how this great plan we have for a baby is going to integrate with this madness that we've created. I don't know. I think it works. It sounds right on paper. The people we've told so far are like questioning and a lot of doubts. So maybe if we talk it out on a podcast, we'll believe ourselves a little bit more. And then, like Kate said, we'll reflect on it in a few months' time and see how wrong we were.